Many thanks for staying with us here on Newses. Let's do some more stories now. And seeing that we are in an election year, do know that your election headquarters, Joy News, will be bringing you a lot more election-related issues, like this very story that has to do with the transmission of electoral results. And we are being told that transmitting of results was never the work of STL. Now, that's the claim by the Electoral Commission in response to a call on them to come clear on the exact role of the Israeli company Superlock Technologies in the country's electoral process. There was controversy over the exact role of Superlock Technologies when the Interior Minister, in a statement some weeks ago, suggested the company was contracted by the EC to transmit election results in 2012. But the Electoral Commission has denied the claim. Deputy Chair of the Commission in charge of Finance and Administration, Georgina Opoko-Mankwa, speaking to the media yesterday, said the Commission stands by its earlier claim that STL did not engage in the transmission of election results. There are some quotes I'll be bringing to you a bit later on, but let's now go onto the phone lines and speak to Martin Ejamin Sakosa, who happens to be the Director of Elections of the opposing New Patriotic Party, and indeed that party has had to say a lot about this very issue. So, Martin, good morning. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsday, sir.
Thanks for having me.
So, I believe once the EC is now coming clear to say that indeed we stand by what we said earlier, that some years ago in 2012, that these people do not have any role to do with the transmission of election results. I suppose that does it, right?
Well, there's a controversy between government and the FTL. You may recall that on your very platform, okay, Joy News File, after this letter by the minister, carefully written and put out, that STL was or had been contracted to transmit election results, the deputy for that ministry, James Agalga, emphatically defended it and said that it was not an error, and dared the Electoral Commission to produce the contract documentation. In his therein, he said that it will be made known to Ghanaians the truth of this matter, and that they stood solidly by it. The Electoral Commission, they knew, per the document of agreement between the EC and the STL, was contracted to do same. This was emphatic on your network. I don't see how just media denial deals with this matter. I don't know what has become of that request from the ministry through Agalga for the Electoral Commission to make public the documentation on this matter. I think it's quite a serious matter, and that is where, for me, the matter rests. The controversy is been deepened vis-a-vis what we are being told now and the further defense to the letter that came from the Interior Ministry by the deputy. And I don't know whether the commission is not interested in actually putting this matter to rest by paying heed to the request from the ministry to lay public the document that, spells out this contract, so that you put this matter to rest. As it stands now, I think the controversy has been deepened. There's a matter between government and the Electoral Commission. Now, we don't know whom to believe.
Okay, so Martin, this is my difficulty, what I'm finding a bit difficult understanding and comprehending. Now, when the Interior Ministry put out that statement, I remember hearing yourself and also the campaign chairman of your party, Mr. Peter Markmenu, all sing the same chorus, suggesting that the EC ought to come clear and let the whole of Ghana know exactly what role the STL played. Now, the EC has come out clearly and is saying that this is it. The company is only servicing these devices. They brought in these BVD devices and are servicing them. That's all. They have no role whatsoever.
I had an interview where the deputy chair in charge of admin and finance, respond to this matter. And I thought that a matter as serious as this required that you put out proper documentation, spelling out A and B for the records. You don't treat it as just mere media commentary, because somebody has carefully put out this matter, a minister for that matter, and it's generated all of this controversy. And I'm saying that beyond that, you have been dared as a commission to produce the documentation. Because you are the mother organization, you have the authority. Once you put that out, you put this matter to rest. But if in the face of the growing controversy, all you think to do, or you choose to do, is to try to respond in a media commentary, I think you wouldn't have done much justice. It's important that you clarify and state, for the avoidance of doubt, what exactly is entailed in your contractual relationship with them, one by one, and put this matter to rest, because that's a sensitive matter.
So Martin, let me just read some quotes from this lady who spoke to the media yesterday. I'm speaking of the deputy chair of the commission in charge of finance, and that's Georgina Opoku-Amankwa, who spoke to the media yesterday. So let me just try and bring you this quote. Okay.
But before you do that,
right.
Can you just indulge me for 1 minute? You who is interviewing me, my brother, do you find it worth pursuing the challenge thrown by the Interior Ministry to the...
Well, it's not in my place to answer that question, but don't worry, Martin, let me just bring you this quote.
But that's what this whole matter is about.
Just a second. So, quote, all that the STL is doing for, or does for the EC, is that they helped us in buying the biometric voter registration equipment, and then the BVDs, that's the biometric verification devices. So as I speak, they are the people who are working on these things. The BVRs that they helped us procure, it is they who service it. It is they who program it for us to do the registration. And then on the day of poll, the BVDs, the verification devices, it is they who also will work on them. There's nothing like they transmitting results of elections. And all I know is that they service those equipment for us and then prepare them for registration. That's it. And that's a direct quote from Georgina Opoku-Amankwa, who is the deputy chair at the Electoral Commission. She's in charge of administration there. So, I mean, she's been quite emphatic here. So what more do you want?
Well, so you think that answers the challenge from the Interior Ministry, that bring the documents and prove me wrong? You think that this answers it? The Electoral Commission has been dared or thrown a challenge by the Interior Ministry that bring the documents of the contract.
I'm sorry, but I don't remember the Interior Ministry daring the EC to come out with any document. On
Joy FM News File 2 weeks ago,
what Mr. Agalga said in that particular discussion was that he does stand by what his minister put out. That's all I remember him saying.
No, and he said further that it is for the Electoral Commission to bring out publicly the document, and then we'll know where the truth lies. He said that. I'm surprised that you don't remember that bit, but the tapes at your disposal. You can refresh your memory. He said that emphatically, that this matter could be put to rest if the EC were to bring in the public domain the documents on this contractual relationship.
So what you want the EC to do now is to publish the details of that very contract they have with STL.
I think that it's been one of back and forth, words against the other so far. And it hasn't been too good. Let me tell you something further. In 2012, right after the election, that's on the 9th, the STL invited parties to 8 outings to have a dialogue with them. In there, they stated that the only extent of their involvement in our election results management was facilitating or providing backup lines for the faxing system or the fax that the results were used to transmit the results. This somehow also contradicted Afaidan's position earlier that STL had absolutely nothing to do with results management. Here they were saying that we do, but the extent of our involvement is got to do with providing backup lines. If you put that together, weigh it against what is happening, there's too much contradiction, too much confusion, and you are not too sure who to believe. So if there are any documented evidence or there's document on the relationship, exact role of the Electoral Commission, STL in our election, put it out and end this whole matter. Especially so when you have been dead by the one who reignited this controversy by stating emphatically from government that is your real role that STL plays. And has gone further to tell you that bring the documents to prove me wrong if I'm lying. And you think that the mere media denial is okay? Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
Otherwise, you see, a situation arises for the Electoral Commission here on credibility and integrity. And don't forget, this is a commission that seems to be having a dwindling integrity, and you don't want to add this to this. The chairperson, deputy chairperson, who is in focus, having answered this matter yesterday, just way back October 2015, is on record to have pleaded with Ghanaians to have confidence and trust in the commission because according to an Afro Barometer report that she was referring to at the time, public confidence and trust had reduced from 80 to 42%.
Okay, so
and was begging Ghanaians to have confidence in them. Now, this situation does not engender confidence and trust.
Right, that's fine, Martin. But finally, before you go, I mean, some are suggesting. I mean, quite a number of people have mentioned that indeed this is, in other words, a waste of everybody's time. For instance, yesterday, your suspended second vice chair, Mr. Sammy Crab, said, I mean, it's a complete waste of time focusing on such issues as well as.
I don't want to respond to what Sammy Crab or anybody else. I don't want to respond to that.
But if it's a legitimate concern,
I don't know. It's my wish. I decline to comment on those matters.
But he still remains an MPP member. Are you saying you're not going to listen to anything he has to say, even if it's related to the benefit of your party and your flag bearer?
You are taking me into a realm that is not useful. Today's debate that you called me, or this raging debate that is ongoing, what are somebody's membership of the NPP got to do with
He is speaking
debate?
on this same issue, and he's saying that the NPP ought to be focusing on other issues and not really on issues of validation of a voters register, cleaning a voters register, getting a new one, or even the EC and the transmission of electoral results. Really, he says there are a lot more pertinent issues the party needs to be focused on.
You are wrong, my brother. If somebody ever commented on NPP campaign on register or validation, it has nothing to do with tallied election results and its transmission. To start with, you are even taking me into a completely different area. And I'm saying that I don't wish to respond to this individual. Regardless of the comment he has made, he's entitled to make, but I don't wish to respond to that.
Right. Martin Ejeme-Zakosa, many thanks for your time on News Desk this morning. Martin Ejeme-Zakosa is the Director of Elections for the opposition New Patriotic Party, and he's been with us on the phone for that very discussion on the transmission of electoral results, which we are being told by the EC that is not being done by STL in any way. And that contradicts that very statement that was put out by the Interior Minister, and again substantiated and backed by his deputy James Agwaga on Newsfile a couple of weeks ago. But the EC yesterday came out strongly on this very issue and says that, well, to the best of their knowledge, STL does not do any such thing. I'm speaking of the transmission of the electoral details there. But we'll see how this conversation pans out in the coming hours and coming days. But let's take a break here on News Desk and bring you some business after this break.